Coming up, we take a look at the Feiyutech FY-G4 handheld 3-axis gimbal. So in this video we're going to take a look at the Feiyutech FYG4 3-axis handheld gimbal, and as you saw in the introduction there, we tried various mounting methods for the gimbal, including on a bicycle, on a laundry pole, on a helmet, and we also tried mounting an infrared light to it on a modified GoPro Hero 3. We'll have a look at those in more depth a little later on, but let's have a look at the FY-G4 right now. The updates over the G3 are quite considerable. This boots up a lot quicker than the G3 does. It only uses 2 batteries as opposed to the previous 3, which is nice because they supply you with 4, which means you've got a set of spares when you're out and about. Real nice update that. Another good update is the fact that you no longer need an Allen key to change the camera out of the gimbal. These are knurled knobs on here which you can easily tighten and untighten by hand rather than, as I said before, using an Allen key. All the cables that used to be exposed on the motors are now hidden inside the housing. Nicely done as well. You can even power your GoPro Hero from the gimbal by using a cable that connects on the back here over to the USB on the side of the camera, and that gives you a little bit of additional power in case you've forgotten to charge your GoPro up. So again, a nice little touch. On the front you have a mini USB socket which allows you to connect via the special adapter and the cables to your PC or your Apple to do any software updates and calibrations you need to do, but it also allows you to have an optional remote control to adjust the tilt angle on this at varying degrees throughout the time you operate it. One of the things you can do without having that remote though is actually position the vertical angle of the camera, and it will stay put at that angle for you in mode 1. There's 4 modes to this camera gimbal. The first one it boots up in is the one that you see right now, and this is the one where regardless of whichever way you move the gimbal, the vertical angle doesn't change. You've already preset it there, you saw me preset it, but the horizontal angle follows where you move the gimbal. On the back of the gimbal you've got this white push button, which you probably can't see it too well, but there is a blue flashing LED, and at the moment it's flashing once every so often. If I go into mode 2 by pressing the button twice, this will now follow vertically and horizontally the angle at which you're adjusting your gimbal. So I'm tilting down and tilting up, and again the camera is following the direction in which I want to go. If you do a long press of the button, that now locks the camera in the horizontal and the vertical. No matter what you do with that, it just stays on, and the blue light stays on permanently. There's a further mode which, if you press the button 3 times, will send the camera gimbal into the invert mode, which means you can use this low down if you want to go along the ground, if you're running through the forest or something like that and you want to get nice shots low down, you use it in invert mode, because you can also add a couple of optional extension poles to this, and they're available, as I say, as an option. But we actually took a laundry pole, and we'll show you that in a little while. But just to come out of mode 3, we press the button 3 times and it comes out of that mode. Finally, before we go on to some actual shots of it in use, one final thing that they've done to improve things is to redesign the back, so you now have a completely clear view of the LCD screen if you decide to have it attached. So let's have a look at some real world applications where we actually put on a bike with a GoPro handlebar attachments, and as you can see, it does what looks like a fairly good job visually there, but unfortunately when you actually go on the road, there's too much direct vibration from the road up to the gimbal itself to completely eradicate it. I mean, it does a fairly good job, and I think it's reasonable, but if you look at one of our previous videos where we had a Feiyutech 2-axis gimbal on a quadcopter, you'll see that it's attached via rubber mounts, and they act as shock absorbers, which is what you really need, some form of shock absorption from the actual body of the bike. A little bit later on, we handheld the gimbal whilst riding the bike, and as you can see here, this is the results that we got, which were an awful lot better. So progressing on from that, we went to put the gimbal on a helmet, a bike helmet, and now as you can see from the shadow on the ground, the helmet is supporting the gimbal. It's a little bit heavy and uncomfortable because it isn't really designed to go on a helmet, and in fact Feiyutech have now brought out a new gimbal called the FYG, which is the wearable gimbal. We will in fact be doing a review of the FYG wearable gimbal soon, so please subscribe to the channel to make sure you get a notification of when that is available. So we're trying out the clothesline prop now, and what we did here was cut the top off the hook and again used the GoPro handlebar attachments, and you can see we've got some nice high to low angles on that, and back here on the river side we're going from really low down up to quite high. A little bit of extra training I think would be good, because didn't get much chance to try it out. This one I'm pushing the pole forward towards the subject, so it's almost like a zoom, but keeps the subject nice and steady, and also low down on the riverbank up to quite high, all handheld this. And finally, for this type of shot, from the street level of the bridge itself down to the towpath of the river, and we can do this all in one continuous shot, which I think would be quite difficult to do without a gimbal to keep it nice and steady. A little bit more practice and it would be better still, but didn't have a lot of time to try these out, and to be able to go from street level down under the bridge itself in one continuous shot I think was quite nice. Now here we're going through the house with the pole from really quite high up, as you saw, to right down at floor level, and that works quite well as well. Now I've got rid of the pole itself and we're just literally holding the gimbal in the hand, and this is in mode 1. Didn't get much chance to try the other modes out, but walking around the town with Ralph here, and he's helping me out, and this is just how it went. So next we're going to take a look and see just how powerful are the motors on this FYG4 gimbal. And what we've got here is an infrared illuminator which I've built, and if you want to see information on that, take a look up in the description, which you'll see just above. And this also has an infrared sensitive lens which I've put on this modified GoPro Hero 3. So as I boot it up, you'll see immediately absolutely no problems with holding that that light on the front of that camera, and it really does remain steady. So let's take a little look at some stuff I shot in infrared mode on this gimbal, and we'll come back after that. So, in conclusion, what do we think of the Feiyutech FYG4 3-axis handheld gimbal? Well, I think it does the job really well. They have been steadily improving their products over the years. They keep bringing out new products, and we hope that we'll continue to be showing them to you and giving you our opinions of them. In the meantime, if you're interested in buying any of the products or knowing any more information, drop them an email to sales@feiyutech.com. So for now, thanks for watching this video, and subscribe for future videos on these gimbals.